Hi Gemini, and welcome to your horoscope for 2024. This is really exciting. We're entering a whole new era here. Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, is leaving Capricorn and it's moving into the air sign of Aquarius. You as a Gemini, ruled by Mercury, you're an air sign, all about communication and ideas. So with this shift, you're really going to benefit because I would say that Pluto in Capricorn for the last 15 years has been somewhat challenging. So first of all, I want to give you an idea of what this shift is all about. And then I'm going to go into your 8th house of institutions and then your 9th house of travel and expansion, because that's what you'll notice, those areas particularly, you'll notice the shift. So Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So if you think back then, we had something called the credit crunch when I think the mortgage market and all of those things just imploded. And the last few years also, we have been very susceptible to what institutions and the powers that be have told us is good and right and proper. These are the rules and this is what we've had to follow. So that is Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is the phoenix rising from the ashes. And in Capricorn, it is focused on the structures of society, of the world, the bones of it, so to speak. And there's this underlying sense, or in fact, an overt sense, that rebellion is not an option right now. You've got to follow the rules. This is what has been decided by higher ups, and you're going to have to align yourself with that. And not only has Pluto been in Capricorn, in your case, Gemini, it's been in your 8th house of institutions. So you will have felt this more so than other signs because it's really, in a sense, against your nature. You're someone who likes to think for themselves and likes to express ideas and also has a sense of humor and an idea of what could be. And Pluto, in that placement of the institution, would have made it feel like, wow, I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders, and why are people being so pushy and telling me what to do all the time? So with this shift into Aquarius, it really is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, right? Because Pluto moves so slowly that if you look at your birth chart and you put the transits around it, you'll notice that Pluto only touches 3 or 4 of your houses. You've got 12 of them in your lifetime. That's how slow it is. So for that planet then to shift gears into a different sign is really significant. And what happens here on the 21st of January is that Pluto moves out of your 8th house of institutions in Capricorn and it moves into your 9th house of travel and expansion and education and growth and really being open-minded. And that is much more up your alley. So you're immediately going to feel this huge sense of relief here via the shift. And it's like, thank goodness, life is enjoyable again. I don't constantly have someone breathing down my neck. Okay, so the kind of, just to give you some kind of keywords to give you an idea of this. So Pluto in Aquarius, it values ideas over institutions and safety. It values freedom and revolution and radical new ideas and activism over playing it safe and getting the pension plan in order and making sure that you've registered in time and that you haven't missed the deadlines. So this is going to be major advances in technology, in communication. It's idealism versus control. And it lasts until 2044. So hooray, life is going to feel a lot lighter. And it's also going to feel like you're able to express yourself more freely and that you're not as beholden to the people in charge, so to speak. So if there has been kind of resentment or I feel stuck and why is everything so drab, that's going to go poof. It does stay in Aquarius most of the time until 2044. There's one time this year where it retrogrades back into Capricorn. So because Pluto moves so slowly, it's now changing on the 21st, which is this big significant shift. But it goes back from the 2nd of September until the 19th of November. And that again happens in your 8th. So the way I see this playing out for you, Gemini, is that immediately at the beginning of the year, you're going to feel this sense of relief and I'm able to explore and engage with new ways of thinking and ideas and to communicate with people who are also not just interested in conforming, right? Then from September to November, I'm going to tie up loose ends and I'm going to perfect my relationships with institutions and pay attention to them. And then I will have that final experience of what that's like. So when it moves back into Aquarius on the 19th of November 2024, then it's all systems go. I'm free of that forever. And I am free to explore my own ideas. I'm able to invent. I'm able to make a contribution. I'm able to help society. I'm able to be charitable. And I'm able to use my ideas and my voice to affect change. So for you guys, this is amazing. You're also ruled by Mercury, the communication planet. And on the first day of this new year, on the 1st of January, Mercury goes direct. So when Mercury is in retrograde, communication is stifled and there's more room for error. I think it's significant that it goes direct on the first day of the new year, because it's like we are having this shift. We are moving into a new era. Mercury at the beginning of January is in Sagittarius, in your 7th house. So there may be a sense of, where's my relationship going? And what am I focused on in the future as far as other people in my life are concerned? But then it goes into your 8th house. And let me give you the exact date. On the 14th of January, it goes into your 8th in Capricorn. So Pluto, Mercury, Mars, the midheaven, you're transiting midheaven, and the sun are all in Capricorn at the beginning of the year. So you feel the sense of heaviness before Pluto shifts into Aquarius, and that's why it's almost like night and day. You feel such a great sense of relief on the 21st. Remember what that feels like, because you have access to it for almost 2 decades now. And by tapping into that, your life becomes bigger and richer, and you can go in new directions. We only have 3 retrogrades of Mercury this year, not 4. It can do either. So that also bodes really well, because you being ruled by Mercury, you're not going to be interrupted and stopped in pursuing all of these new things just by headachy little communication errors. So that's not going to feature as largely. Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity. That is also direct all year. And that's significant because when Venus goes retrograde, it's not a good time to start new relationships, to start a new business, because your focus and your perspective is off. And then when it goes direct, you can look back on those new relationships and those new businesses you've started and say, why did I start this? I don't like it. What was I thinking? And in your case, it's in the 7th house in Sagittarius. So all that heaviness and responsibility about my relationships, and I have to be constructive here and see that it's going well. With it being direct in your 7th, yes, you can look at that, but what you're going to start being interested in, what is this relationship? How is it affecting me? The same way, how has this institution affected me? And what do I really feel, regardless of these connections that I've got with groups of people or individuals? And how can I get back to the year dot, so to speak? How can I get to square one, where I felt like myself, I hadn't given any of my power away. I made decisions without being overly considerate of everyone else involved. And it's just like a return to what you really truly feel is important and good in your life, rather than what ought to be. So I love it. You're kind of absolved of responsibility here in many ways. Also, Mars is about drive and ambition, and that's direct for most of the year. It only retrogrades on the 6th of December, so towards the end, so that's not going to influence you too much. At the beginning here, same thing, it's in Capricorn. It will give you a very clear sense of where I am stuck and where I've been banging my head against the wall, and do I want to continue doing that? So really in January, pay attention to your relationships, the relationships you have with institutions and individuals in your life, and ask yourself, where have I been trying way too hard and this just isn't working? And do I really want to keep doing that? Or do I want to go in a different direction where I have more freedom and where I'm actually receiving something in return? Okay, so I want to look at a couple of specific things. On the 27th of January, we have Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and unexpected, the planet that rules Aquarius, the sign that Pluto is in. That goes direct, so it moves forward. So you'll start to notice that other people are also becoming more interested in exploring new ideas. And they're not so interested in just being good and on time and punctual. You may have an issue with your cousin Virgo at this moment because you really are interested in, you know what, it doesn't have to be constructive, it doesn't have to be super useful. I want to just learn something for the fun of it. I want to experience something because it makes me feel alive. It's really that sense of, I can breathe here for the first time in a long time. On the 25th of March, we have a lunar eclipse in Libra. So 25th of March. That happens in your 5th house of what you love. So again, we're talking about an eclipse. The moon is kind of put into this shadow space where it's kind of suppressed in a way. And it says, how have I been operating in terms of my relationships? What is my own will? And where have I kind of betrayed myself for the sake of someone else? And that seems to be a key theme here, that you're able to focus on your own hopes and dreams versus the responsibilities and duties you've got to institutions and other people, and what you can do on your own versus what you need other people for. So there's more independence, and I think that's ultimately the takeaway from this, that I don't need to conform as much if the cost is too high, as in I have to dismiss my own personality and my own needs for this to continue to function. Do I want to make this relationship stand, or do I want to blow it up and do it by myself? So it's not going to be particularly quiet or subtle here for you, Gemini, but it's really a sense of getting back your power and no longer giving it away free of charge. So the 8th of April, we have a solar eclipse in Aries, and that happens, let's see, 8th of April. That happens in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, same thing. My identity is independent of what's going on around it. How do I blast obstacles out of my way in order to get nearer to my hopes and dreams? So it's a rediscovery of what you find important. And on the 2nd of May, Pluto starts to retrograde until the 11th of October. So it's starting its backward slide into Capricorn, which it goes into in September on the 2nd. But Pluto being retrograde, the sense of change and rebirth and the phoenix rising from the ashes starts to occur internally. And it's in your 9th house of education and being open-minded and discovering something new. So this is amazing because if something has occurred to you that you think is worth teaching or writing a book about, or an invention that you want to create, or you want to be charitable, or you want to help other people through your insights, that's going to feel much more important and meaningful than what you've been doing so far. On the 26th of May, Jupiter, the lucky planet, goes into your 1st house of self in Gemini. So Jupiter is expansion and growth, and it's in your sign. So you can access the good luck of Jupiter by expressing your ideas, by making sense of things in your own unique way and saying, okay, this is what interests me. I see a doorway there. I see an opportunity. Let me pursue that. So it's really key, I feel, in 2024 that you are authentic and that you honor yourself and your own needs and your own desires. That's where the good luck is. So, you know, it's interesting because you could argue what I've said so far. You could say, oh, does that mean that I, as a Gemini, am just going to be really awkward all year? And then I'm just going to, be self-absorbed? No. What I'm saying is that you regain your power and that there's a rhyme and a reason behind it, because when you use your power then to express your ideas, that's where the luck factor is. So you need to go through that process in order to produce something which will help you and other people. And you can't do that if you're completely disempowered and just taking instructions all the time. On the 29th of June, Saturn goes retrograde, and it does that in your 10th house of career, and Neptune is also in that 10th house. That goes retrograde like a week later on the 2nd of July. So whenever anything goes retrograde, you notice the effects happening more internally. And Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, I know what the dream is about my job, my career. This is now the focus for the first time, really. And this is what I want to do, and this is what I can contribute. So particularly for Geminis who want to build something of their own, or you may have considered starting something of your own, from June, July onwards, you'll notice that you feel much more confident about doing that, taking the plunge, taking the risk to do something by yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to let go of your existing work or career, but you're going to be far more willing to do something on top of it, to do something outside of your usual scope. And that is much more likely to, one, be an extension of how you're feeling and where you're at now in life. And Pisces is a water sign that's very much about being spiritually connected and using that connection to heal and to connect. So think about if you're in the northern hemisphere, I was going to say the summer, but it really doesn't matter. So if you're anywhere in the world, June, July, if you start to have an idea of this is something that could really help people and I could do it on my own, pounce on that because it's very likely to pay off. And Jupiter is still in Gemini, saying if you express it, the good luck of Jupiter supports you. Uranus goes retrograde on the 1st of September, and then it stays in retrograde until the 30th of January 2025. So Uranus is chaotic anyway. The path is like all over the place. So it's the only planet that retrogrades twice this year. And it does that for you in your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. But the way I think it translates is because at this point, your 12th house is ruled by Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus at 27 degrees. 2 and 7 is 9. That's the hermit in the tarot, and your numerology, that's spirituality and completion. So it's kind of like I have a unique truth that has kind of been revealed to me. And if I implement that into my working life, then I can almost be a spokesperson for some sort of spiritual truth that's been revealed to me, and that's going to help other people. So again, if you're a Gemini who wants to do something in regard to charity, or you want to start your own foundation, or you want to get into healing or music or entertainment or comedy with a view to make jokes to make other people feel better. I think there's a quote by, who was it? Like, if you make someone laugh, you give them a little holiday from their own lives, you know? It's all of those kind of things. What can I do to add some positivity and some love and some nurture into the world? Those are very, very effective. So wow, Gemini, you're like such a voice of hope and love here, particularly around September. Then later on in the month, we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces. That happens on the 17th of September in your, again, 10th house of career. So what have I been doing so far? How do I feel about that? It's kind of like a reassessment of what you're doing and whether it's aligned with this charitable kind of generous nature that you've got at the moment. And do I want to build more of this into my life? I mean, not everyone wants to start a charity, for instance. Some people may interpret this as, okay, so for instance, I'm in a job, for instance, that pays my bills, but it really harms people. Am I still willing to do that? So for instance, you're selling credit cards at like 1,000% interest or something. And that then is going to give you pause, and you have the choice of whether you want to continue that or if you want to change. And ultimately, because Uranus is in Taurus in your 12th, you will find options that seem more suitable. And if you want to make a shift like that, it's going to be very possible. And then again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but Jupiter is in Gemini. So if you find a way of speaking something or expressing something that feels more aligned with who you truly are, the likelihood that that's going to not only replace this existing work, but even provide something better is very, very high, because Jupiter is good fortune. So it wouldn't steer you in the wrong direction, especially being in your sign. 2nd of October, we have a solar eclipse in Libra. That happens in your 5th house of what you love, and it opposes all the Aries energy in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So really the question is self versus other. What am I going to focus on more? And you know what I'm going to say, right? I'm going to say that it's a much better idea to focus on your truth and your journey that feels empowering, and not to, again, dilute everything by saying, okay, I wanted to do this, but I know that you expect this from me, so I'm going to put my things aside and do the things you want. I think that's the big no-no for you guys of 2024. And then finally, Jupiter goes retrograde on the 9th of October, and it stays in retrograde until the 4th of February, and it's still in your first house of self in Gemini. So the good luck comes from my ideas that I want to express even more so. So this is for the writers. This is for, you can write your act. You can find a solution to problems that other people can't find. You can even improve your relationships by explaining who you truly are, and it's a case of take it or leave it. So boundary-wise, no issues. Stepping into your own power, no issues. I think the question is just, how do I use this for the greater good? To be this charitable kind of figure this year. So I think you're going to touch a lot of people in a really positive, healing, nurturing way. And usually, if that's what you're putting out, people will respond to that positively. So I think you have a good year ahead of you. So that's what I get for 2024. I hope that's giving you something to go on. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website, gregoryscott.com. Check out some of my other videos, the monthly horoscopes, weekly horoscopes, and the daily tarot readings. Have a fabulous year. All the best of luck, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.